The morning Jack Harlan's daughter died, the sky over Fort Bragg was the color of bleached bone. 12 years later, he still remembered that sky. Remembered how the chaplain had walked toward him across the tarmac with that look on his face, the one that meant the world had just ended, and everyone knew it except you. Lily, 7 years old, blonde hair that curled at the ends, a laugh like water running over smooth stones. Gone before he could memorize enough of her. A drunk driver, a red light, a collision that lasted less than 2 seconds and erased everything that mattered. Jack Ghost Harlan had been clearing a village outside Kandahar when it happened. Putting bullets in strangers while 6,000 miles away, his daughter bled out in the back seat of her mother's sedan. He didn't find out until 14 hours later. Didn't make it home for the funeral. The Army gave him compassionate leave, but by the time the paperwork cleared and the transport landed, Lily was already in the ground, and his ex-wife was already looking at him like he was the one who killed her. Maybe she was right. 12 years, 2 tours left in Afghanistan, a medical discharge for a knee that never healed properly. Then the Hells Angels because men who had learned violence as a trade needed somewhere to put it, and the open road was better than a jail cell, though he'd seen plenty of those too. Now 58 years old, more scars than smooth skin, a face that made bartenders reach for the panic button and children hide behind their mothers. Living above Rudy's auto shop in a town whose name he sometimes forgot, drinking whiskey that tasted like regret, carrying a faded pink ribbon in the breast pocket of his leather jacket, because it was the only thing left of a girl who used to call him Daddy. His Harley screamed down Highway 12, engine wide open, wind tearing at his face, the Montana sky enormous and indifferent above him. This was the only peace Jack Harlan found anymore, that razor edge between control and catastrophe, speed and gravity, and the thin line where one wrong twitch meant asphalt and oblivion. His phone buzzed against his thigh. Third time that morning. Flint, president of the Hells Angels Montana chapter, the man who had stood in front of 30 brothers 6 months ago and told Jack that walking away made him a ghost, and ghosts didn't get to come back. Jack killed the call without looking. The road curved hard to the left, following the ridge above the river valley. Jack leaned into it, felt the bike respond like a living thing beneath him, felt the world narrow to just this, just motion, just the next mile. Then he saw the skid marks, fresh, black, cutting across both lanes like someone had yanked the wheel in panic and lost. The guardrail was torn open, steel peeled back like a wound, and beyond it the ground fell away into a steep ravine choked with scrub pine and tall grass. Jack's boots hit gravel before he made the conscious choice to stop. 20 years of combat training. The body moved before the mind caught up. He killed the engine, swung off, and walked to the edge. The minivan lay upside down at the bottom of the ravine. Crushed, smoking, a woman's arm hung limp through the shattered driver's side window, pale and still, and angled in a way that meant the neck was broken. Jack had seen enough dead bodies to recognize one from 50 feet. He was reaching for his phone to call it in when the voice hit him. Help, please. Somebody help me. Small, broken, coming from somewhere in the tall grass to the right of the wreckage, maybe 15 feet from the van. Jack moved fast, combat instinct, scanning, assessing closing distance. He found her lying on her back in a shallow depression where the grass was matted flat with blood. A little girl, 9, maybe 10, school uniform torn and soaked red, left arm bent wrong, not just broken. The bone was showing white and obscene through a tear in the skin above the elbow. Dark hair plastered to her face with blood that was still wet, still flowing from a wash above her right ear. Her eyes found him, and the fear in them almost stopped his heart. She saw what everyone saw, the tattoos crawling up his neck, the scars across his jaw and cheekbone, the Hells Angels vest with its death's head patch, the skull rings on fingers thick as sausages, a face built for violence and nothing else. Please, her voice cracked, barely a whisper. Please don't hurt me. I can't move. Jack dropped to his knees. Slow, hands open and visible. The way you approach something wounded that might bolt or die of shock before you could help it. Hey, look at me. His voice came out rough, scraped raw by years of whiskey and cigarettes, and not talking to anyone who mattered. He tried to soften it. Couldn't quite remember how. I'm not going to hurt you. You hear me? I'm not going to hurt you. She was shaking, fine tremors running through her whole body, shock setting in. Her skin was going gray at the edges. You look like the bad guys on TV, she said. Yeah, I know. No point lying to a kid who could see what he was. But I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to help. My name's Jack. What's yours, Maya? Her teeth were chattering. Maya Lawson. Okay, Maya. I'm going to call for help right now. Then I'm going to stay right here with you until they come. That sound okay? Her eyes searched his face, looking for the lie, looking for the monster behind the mask, finding something else instead. Your eyes, she whispered. They look sad. Jack's throat closed up. Mama says people with sad eyes know what it feels like to hurt. So they don't want to hurt other people. He couldn't speak, could only nod. Maya's small hand reached out across the bloody grass, found his massive scarred fingers, wrapped around them with a grip that was barely there and stronger than anything he'd felt in 12 years. Okay, she said, I believe you. Jack made the call, single vehicle accident, one child severe injuries, one adult unresponsive. The dispatcher asked if the adult was breathing. Jack looked at the minivan, at the arm hanging limp, at the angle of the neck. No, she's not. Help is on the way, sir. Can you stay on the line? I'll stay with the kid. He hung up, turned back to Maya. Jack. Her voice was weaker now, fading at the edges like a radio losing signal. Where's my mama? Is she okay? 12 years ago, an army chaplain had told Jack his daughter was in a better place. He remembered the white-hot surge of wanting to kill that man. Remembered the uselessness of words when the world had ended. Let's worry about you right now, Maya. Ambulance is coming. But Mama, she's in the car. The doctors will check on her too. Right now, I need you to keep talking to me. Can you do that? Maya nodded, winced at the movement. What's your favorite thing in the whole world? Keep her talking. Keep her conscious. Keep her in this world. Drawing. I like to draw. Yeah. What do you draw? Houses? Nice houses with big yards and families inside. She went somewhere far away behind her eyes. I draw the kind of family I want to have someday. What kind is that? The kind where the daddy doesn't leave. The kind where nobody yells. The kind where she stopped. Her fingers tightened on his. Can I tell you a secret? Sure. I don't have a daddy. He left before I was born. Mama says he wasn't ready. Her gaze found his again. Locked on. Were you ready? When you were a daddy, the question went through him like a blade. How'd you know I was a daddy? Your eyes. They're the saddest eyes I ever saw. Mama says only daddies who lost their kids have eyes like that. Jack's vision blurred. He blinked hard. I had a little girl. Her name was Lily. He swallowed. She died. I'm sorry. Me too. What was she like? She was brave. Like you. Maya smiled. First smile since he'd found her. Small and broken and luminous. Maybe she sent you, Maya whispered. Maybe Lily looked down from heaven and said, Daddy, there's a girl who needs help. Go find her. Jack's jaw clenched. He didn't trust his voice. Maybe he managed. I think so. Maya's eyes fluttered. I think she sent you because she knew you needed somebody to save, so you could feel like a daddy again. The ambulance siren cut through the morning. Getting closer, getting real. Stay with me, Maya. Help's almost here. Jack, yeah, if I die, will you tell my mama I love her? You're not going to die. But you're not going to die. Jack leaned closer, his scarred face inches from hers. You hear me? I didn't stop for nothing. I stopped because you're supposed to live. So you're going to live. Got it. Her fingers squeezed his. Got it. The EMTs moved fast. Professional. 2 of them. The younger one couldn't have been more than 25, tried to separate Maya from Jack. No, Maya's scream cut through everything. Don't take him away. He promised. He promised he'd stay. The EMT stepped back. Sir, we need to. I'm riding with her. That's not I am riding with her. The EMT looked at his partner. His partner shrugged. Fine. Stay out of the way. In the ambulance, Maya's grip on Jack's hand never loosened. The EMTs worked around him. IV lines, monitors, stabilizing the shattered arm in a temporary splint. Her blood pressure was dropping, her skin turning the color of old newspaper. She's crashing, the younger EMT said. Possible internal bleeding. We need to move faster. Jack leaned close to Maya's ear. You gotta fight now. You hear me? Fight. Her eyes flickered open. Glassy, fading. Tired, she whispered. So tired. I know, baby. I know. But you can't sleep yet. Not yet. Will you be there when I wake up? I'll be there. Promise, promise. Her eyes closed. The monitor beeped faster, then screamed. The EMT shouted something about losing her pulse. Hands moved, machines whirred. And Jack Harlan, who hadn't prayed in 12 years, who hadn't believed in anything since they put Lily in the ground, found himself making deals with a god he'd stopped speaking to. Take me instead. You hear me? Take me instead. Just let her live. St. Vincent's Hospital smelled the way hospitals always smelled. Bleach and death and vending machine coffee. The particular cocktail of antiseptic and grief that clung to the walls of every institution where people came to live or die and had no say in which. Jack knew these places. Had spent too many hours in them after firefights, after bar brawls, after the long night, when a chaplain sat with him in a hallway just like this one and explained that God sometimes took the ones we loved most because he needed them more than we did. Jack had wanted to put his fist through that chaplain's face. Still did sometimes in dreams. The surgeon came out after 2 hours. Dr. Warren Holloway, early 70s. Gray hair cropped close. Hands that were steady and eyes that were not. He carried the particular weariness of a man who had spent decades fighting death and winning just often enough to keep going. Mr. Harlan. Jack stood. How is she stable? The arm was a clean break. We said it. No complications. 2 cracked ribs. Some internal bruising, but no active bleeding. She's lucky. She's tough. Yes, she is. Holloway paused. She's asking for you. Said she wants the man with saddies. Jack almost smiled. There's something else. Holloway's voice dropped. The kind of drop that meant the next words would draw blood. Her mother didn't survive. We pronounced her at the scene. Maya doesn't know yet. Jack nodded. He'd known since he saw the arm through that shattered window. Known the way soldiers knew. The body tells you before anyone speaks. Who's going to tell her Child Protective Services is sending someone? She'll be placed in emergency foster care while they locate family. And if there's no family, then she becomes a permanent ward of the state. Jack stood there, processing. A kid with no one going into a system that would file her, shuffle her, loser. He'd seen what that system did, had met enough broken adults who'd survived it to know. I want to see her. Room 312. But Mr. Harlan Holloway's gaze moved to the Hells Angels vest, to the skull tattoos, to all the evidence of a life spent on the wrong side of everything. The social worker is already there. She's not going to like you. Most people don't. The social worker was exactly what Jack expected. Mid-40s, hard face constructed from years of impossible caseloads and insufficient budgets. Reading glasses. A thick folder that would decide a child's fate based on checkboxes and bureaucratic criteria that had nothing to do with what a child actually needed. Her name badge read Nora Caldwell. She saw his vest before she saw his face. Her expression sealed shut like a vault door. You need to leave. Jack didn't move. She asked for me. I don't care what she asked for. You're a member of a criminal organization. This is now a CPS matter. Your presence is inappropriate and potentially harmful to Maya's voice from the bed. Small, wondering. You came back. Jack walked past Nora Caldwell and sat beside Maya's bed. The girl's face was swollen, bruised, her left arm encased in plaster. But her eyes were open, and when they found Jack, something in them that had been clenched tight like a fist slowly uncurled. I promised, didn't I, Jack? Maya's voice trembled. Where's my mama? Why isn't she here? Nora Caldwell opened her mouth. Jack held up a hand without looking at her. Let me. Mr. Harlan, I can't allow. Let me. Something in his voice, not volume, not threat. Something beneath those things that came from a place Nora Caldwell had never been. A place where you knelt beside the dying and spoke truths that no one should have to speak. She stopped. Jack took Maya's hand. The same hand that had found his on that bloody roadside. The same hand that had squeezed his in the ambulance, while her heart stuttered and the machines screamed. Maya, I got to tell you something, and it's going to hurt real bad. but I need you to be brave one more time. Can you do that for me?" Her eyes filled. She already knew. Children always knew. They read the air the way animals read weather. They felt the truth before it arrived. "Mama's not coming, is she?" "No, baby, she's not. She's dead." "Yeah." 1 second. 2. The silence between a match being struck and the flame catching. Then the scream. "No, no, you're lying. Mama, mama." She tried to get up. IV lines straining, monitors spiking, pain forgotten in the face of something worse than pain. Jack caught her, held her against his chest, felt her body shake with sobs so deep they seemed to come from the earth itself. "I got you. I got you. Let it out. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere." She sobbed until there was nothing left, until her body went limp, until the only sound in the room was her ragged breathing and the steady mechanical beep of the heart monitor, counting seconds neither of them wanted to count. "Don't leave me." She whispered it into his chest, barely audible, the smallest prayer ever made. "Please don't leave me." "I won't." "Everybody leaves. I won't." Nora Caldwell stood by the door. Her expression was complex, something behind the professional mask shifting, rearranging. She didn't try to throw him out again. 3 hours later, Maya woke up screaming, "Mama, run. He's coming. He's coming." Jack was at her side in a second. "Maya, wake up. It's me. It's Jack." Her eyes flew open, wild, terrified, not seeing him, seeing something else, someone else. "He found us. He always finds people." Mama said, "Maya, look at me. Look at me." She focused slowly, the terror draining into confusion, then recognition, then the particular kind of relief that comes from waking in a nightmare and finding someone real beside you. "Jack, you're safe. It was a nightmare." "No," she shook her head. "No, it wasn't. It's real. He's real." Jack's blood went cold, not the metaphorical cold of unease, the actual physical cold of combat awareness of a body shifting into the mode it knew best. Threat identification, assessment, response. "Who's real, Maya?" Her mouth clamped shut. Her eyes darted to Nora Caldwell still in the room, then back to Jack. "I can't. Maya, if someone hurt you, I can't." Mama said, "Never tell." She said if I told, he'd kill us both. Nora stepped forward. "What is she talking about?" Jack ignored her. His world had narrowed to this child and whatever she was carrying. "Your mama's gone now, baby. Whatever she was afraid of, whatever she was running from, I need to know so I can protect you. You can't protect me. Nobody can. He's too powerful. Who he has, police. He has judges. He has everyone. I don't care who he has. Give me a name." Maya looked at him. Really looked. The way people looked when they were deciding whether to jump or step back from the edge. Weighing him, measuring him against every broken promise she'd ever known. "You promise you won't let him take me? I promise. You promise you won't let him hurt me like he hurt Mama." Jack's jaw tightened until the muscles burned. "What did he do to your mama? Bad things?" At night, when she worked at his house, Maya's voice dropped to a whisper. She was his housekeeper. She cleaned his office. She found papers about kids. Kids like me. What kind of papers, I don't know. But Mama said they were evil. She said he was a monster who hurt children. She said we had to run, tears spilling now running down her bruised face. We packed everything. We drove all night. But the car. The accident wasn't an accident. Was it? Maya shook her head. There was a truck, a big black truck. It pushed us off the road. Nora Caldwell's face had gone the color of old bone. I need to make some calls. Wait. Jack held up his hand. "Maya, I need the name, now." Maya grabbed his hand, pulled him close, her lips against his ear. "Victor Hale." Jack pulled back. "He owns half the state. He's friends with the governor. He gives money to the police." Maya's eyes were hollow, old. Far too old for 9 years of living. "Mama said he's the devil, Jack. The devil in a nice suit." Jack stood. His hands were shaking, not with fear, with the particular kind of rage that men like him had spent their whole lives learning to control and failing. The rage that had gotten people killed. The rage that had a name, and the name was purpose. "Ms. Caldwell, I need everything you can find on Victor Hale. I can't just, a man murdered this girl's mother and tried to kill her. He's connected to a network that traffics children, and he's going to come back to finish the job. So you can either help me or you can get out of my way. Nora Caldwell stared at him, something in her expression rearranging itself, the professional mask cracking along fault lines Jack couldn't see. I'll make some calls, she said quietly. She left the room. Jack turned back to Maya. This shattered child, who had survived something no human being should face, let alone one who still measured the world in homework assignments and birthday parties, and the hope that someday a father would walk through the door. Maya, I'm going to ask you one more question, and I need you to be completely honest. Okay, your mama found papers about kids like you. What did she mean by that? Maya's face crumpled. She meant kids nobody would miss. Kids in foster care. Kids with no families. Her voice broke into pieces. Kids he could take, and nobody would ever look for them. Jack's vision went red. Not metaphor, not exaggeration. The actual perceptual shift of a man whose body was flooding with adrenaline and fury, and a purpose so total it left no room for anything else. Somewhere in this state, a monster walked free. A monster who hurt children. A monster who murdered a woman for knowing too much. And that monster was coming for Maya. Jack looked at his hands, scarred across every knuckle, tattooed across the backs, hands that had done terrible things in terrible places for reasons that seemed less and less sufficient with every passing year. Hands that had held a rifle and a whiskey bottle and not much else worth holding. Until today, until a little girl on the side of a road reached out and grabbed on. Maya, yeah, I'm gonna make you a promise. And I have never broken a promise in my life. What promise? Jack leaned close, his voice low, steady, certain. I'm going to find Victor Hale, and I'm going to make sure he never hurts another child again. Maya looked at him with those huge dark eyes, eyes that had seen too much, lost everything, and still impossibly found room for hope. How Jack's mouth curved. It wasn't a smile, it was a promise made visible. You ever hear the saying, fight fire with fire? Yeah. Well, Victor Hale is about to learn what happens when you pick a fight with a Hell's Angel. Outside the hospital window, thunder rolled across the Montana sky. Distant, coming closer. Jack sat with it, the sound of something beginning. Nora Caldwell came back 20 minutes later. Her face was white. Her hands were not entirely steady. We need to talk, she said. Not here. Jack looked at Maya. The girl had fallen asleep, exhausted from grief, from pain, from the sheer weight of being 9 years old and alone in a world that had proven itself cruel beyond imagination. Her small fingers were still wrapped around his hand. I'm not leaving her. 2 minutes, right outside the door. She'll be fine. Every instinct screamed at him to stay. But the look on Nora's face said something important enough to override instinct. 2 minutes. He freed his hand from Maya's grip. Gentle. She stirred but didn't wake. He followed Nora into the hallway. What did you find? Victor Hale is untouchable. Nora's voice was barely above a whisper. I mean completely structurally untouchable. He's donated over $2 million to the county sheriff's re-election campaign. His personal attorney sits on the state foster care oversight board. His wife runs the largest charity for orphan children in Montana. A charity for orphan children. Jack's jaw worked. Convenient. It gets worse. I pulled Grace Lawson's employment records. She worked as a housekeeper at the Hale estate for 3 years. Quit 6 months ago. No forwarding address, no references, no exit interview. She ran, and nobody asked why. Nobody who mattered. Nora's voice dropped lower. I made some calls. Quiet calls to people I trust in the system. Victor Hale has been flagged before. 3 times in the last 5 years, someone has reported suspicious activity involving children at his properties. 3 times the investigations were shut down before they got off the ground. By who? Different people each time. A judge here, a police captain there, a state senator who sits on the Child Welfare Committee. Always someone with enough authority to make the paperwork disappear here before it reached anyone who might act on it. Nora met his eyes. This man has a network, Mr. Harlan, a network that protects him. And right now, that network knows there's a little girl in this hospital who can connect him to a murder. Jack felt the old coldness settling into his chest, the operational coldness, the thing that had kept him alive in Kandahar and Fallujah and a dozen other places where men died because they felt too much. Where's the evidence? The papers Grace found? I don't know. Maya might know, but I can't ask her, not officially. If I document anything she says about Hale, it goes into the system. And if it goes into the system, Hale's people see it within hours, maybe minutes. Jack turned back toward the door. Through the small, reinforced window, he could see Maya sleeping. So small in that hospital bed. So fragile. What happens to her now? Standard protocol. Emergency foster care while we search for relatives. If none are found, she becomes a permanent ward of the state. And who decides where she goes? Nora's silence was its own answer. Hale's people, Jack said. They decide. The foster care placement board meets tomorrow morning. I've already seen the intake request come through. Someone has flagged Maya Lawson for transfer to Sunrise Youth Home. What's Sunrise Youth Home on paper? A wonderful therapeutic facility for traumatized children. State-of-the-art treatment. Beautiful campus. Nora's voice cracked. 3 children have disappeared from Sunrise in the last 2 years, listed officially as runaways. No investigations, no follow-ups, no one asking where they went. Jack's hands closed into fists, slowly, like machines engaging. I'm not letting her go there. You don't have any legal standing. You're not family. You're not a licensed foster parent. You're not even, she caught herself, a good person. Yeah, I know what I am. I know what I've done. But I also know what happens to that little girl if someone doesn't stop it. What are you going to do? Jack looked at her. You got kids. Nora too, a boy and a girl, 13 and 16. What would you do if someone was coming for them, someone powerful, someone protected, someone who hurts children and walks away clean every time? She didn't answer, didn't need to. That's what I'm going to do, Jack said, whatever it takes. He walked back into Maya's room. Nora watched him go. She should report this, should call her supervisor, should follow every protocol in the manual that governed her professional life. Instead, she stood in that hallway for a long time thinking about her children sleeping safely at home, about the girl sleeping not safely in that room, about the difference between following rules and doing right. She pulled out her phone and deleted the last hour of call logs. Jack sat beside Maya's bed and watched her sleep. Her face was peaceful for the moment. No nightmares, no fear. Just a little girl who didn't know that the world was organizing itself to destroy her. His phone buzzed, unknown number. He answered. Mr. Harlan? The voice was smooth, cultured. The particular timbre of wealth and power so absolute it had become a kind of accent. The voice of a man who had never in his life been told no and expected the pattern to continue. I believe you have something that belongs to me. Jack's grip tightened. Who is this I think you know? I think a scared little girl whispered my name to you not long ago. I think you made her some promises you can't keep. Victor Hale. The name tasted like poison. How did you get this number? I have resources, Mr. Harlan. Resources you can't imagine. I know who you are, Jack Ghost Harlan, former Special Forces, former Hells Angels, currently unemployed, living above an auto shop, drinking yourself to death with admirable commitment. A pause, deliberate, theatrical. I know about your daughter too, Lily. Such a tragedy, such a waste. Something inside Jack that had been cold went hot, white hot, nuclear. Say her name again. I dare you, temper. I'm not calling to threaten you, Mr. Harlan. I'm calling to offer you an opportunity. Walk away tonight. Forget you ever saw that girl. Forget you ever heard my name. In return, I make your legal problems disappear. The assault charge in Reno, the outstanding warrants in California. All of it gone. And if I don't walk away, then I destroy you. Not quickly, slowly. I have you arrested for kidnapping. I produce witnesses who will testify you caused the accident that killed Grace Lawson. I ensure you spend whatever's left of your miserable life in a cell, knowing that you failed another little girl. Hale's voice dropped to something intimate, almost gentle. And Maya will end up exactly where she was always meant to be, with me. Jack looked at Maya, still sleeping, still innocent, still trusting that the man with sad eyes would keep his word. You done? Excuse me, I asked if you're done. With your speech, your threats, your offer. Are you done, Silence? Because here's what's going to happen, Hale. I'm going to find you. I'm going to find every piece of evidence Grace Lawson collected. I'm going to blow your operation wide open, and then I'm going to watch everything you built turn to ash. You're making a mistake, Mr. Harlan. A fatal one. Maybe. But I've been making mistakes my whole life. This won't be the worst. Jack stood up. And Hale, that little girl you want so badly, she's not a thing. She's not inventory. She's a child. And she's under my protection now. You come for her, you come through me. He hung up. Maya's eyes were open. Watching him, she'd heard enough. Who was that? Jack slipped the phone back into his pocket. Nobody important. It was him, wasn't it? Mr. Hale. No point lying. She'd earned more than lies. Yeah, it was him. What did he want? He wanted me to walk away. Leave you. Maya's face crumpled. And you're going to, aren't you? Everyone leaves. Mama said I'm not leaving. But he's powerful. He has police. He has Maya. Jack sat on the edge of her bed, took her hand. Look at me. She looked, tears cutting tracks through the bruises on her face. I spent 15 years riding with the Hells Angels. I did things I'm not proud of. Hurt people who didn't deserve it. Spent more time in bars and prison cells than I ever spent being a father. He squeezed her hand. But I'm done running. I'm done hiding. And I am sure as hell done letting men like Victor Hale hurt children. Why, Maya whispered. Why do you care? You don't even know me. Jack thought about the question. Really thought. Turned it over in his mind the way he used to turn Lily's pink ribbon between his fingers in the dark. Because 12 years ago, my daughter needed me, and I wasn't there. I was halfway around the world playing soldier while she died alone. His voice broke on the word alone. He let it break. I can't change that. Can't bring her back. But maybe I can make sure it doesn't happen again. Maybe I can be there for someone else's little girl. Maya's tears fell freely now. But she was not crying from grief. From something else. Something that looked impossibly like hope. You really mean it. I really mean it. She threw her good arm around his neck. Held on with everything she had. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you, Jack. He held her. This small, shattered, ferociously brave child. Don't thank me yet. We've got a long way to go. The door burst open. 2 men, suits, hospital security badges clipped to their belts. But their eyes were wrong, too hard, too practiced. And the way they stood, weight forward, hands ready, said they'd done this kind of thing before. Jack Harlan. Jack stood, put himself between Maya and the door. Instinct so deep it didn't require thought. Who's asking Sheriff's Department? You are under arrest for what? The bigger one smiled. It was not a smile that had anything to do with happiness. Kidnapping, assault, and interference with Child Protective Services. He pulled out handcuffs. Victor Hale sends his regards. Maya screamed. Jack moved. 15 years of bar fights, 20 years of combat training, 58 years of learning exactly where to hit a man so that he stopped being a problem. The first guard dropped with a broken nose. Blood everywhere. The second took a knee to the solar plexus that folded him in half and put him on the tile. Jack grabbed Maya, IV lines ripping free, monitors shrieking. Can you walk? I think so. Then we go. Now. He pulled her toward the service corridor. Behind them, alarms began to wail. Jack, I'm scared. I know, baby. I know. Just keep moving. They hit the stairwell. Maya stumbled on the first landing. Jack caught her. Picked her up. She weighed nothing. 3 flights. 2, 1. The emergency exit was right there. Steel door with a panic bar. Jack kicked it open and found himself looking at 6 more men, arranged in a semicircle, weapons drawn, aimed at his chest. Put the girl down, Harlan. It's over. Jack set Maya behind him, shielded her with his body, felt her press against his back, trembling. She's not going anywhere with you. A gun cocked behind them, more men on the stairs. Trapped, Maya's fingers gripped the back of his jacket. Jack. Her voice was barely a breath. It's okay. It was not okay. Nothing about this was okay. The lead man stepped forward, reached for Maya, And then a voice cut through everything. Stand down. Everyone froze. Dr. Warren Holloway walked through the circle of armed men like he owned every square inch of the ground beneath his feet. His face was calm, his white coat unbuttoned. His voice carried the particular authority of a man who had spent 40 years giving orders in operating rooms where seconds meant the difference between life and death. I said, stand down. This is my hospital. That child is my patient, and you are trespassing on medical premises without proper authorization. Doctor, we have orders. I don't care about your orders. I care about a 9-year-old girl with 2 cracked ribs and a fractured arm who just had her IV lines torn from her veins. He turned to Jack. His eyes said something his mouth did not. Bring her back inside. Now, Doc. I can't. Mr. Harlan, trust me. Jack looked at the guns, at the men behind them, at Maya trembling against his back. He did not have a choice. Not a real one. He picked Maya up and followed Holloway inside. The guards did not stop them. Something about Holloway's presence, his age, his authority, the weight of his white coat held them at bay long enough for the 3 of them to disappear into the building's labyrinth. Holloway led them through corridors Jack had never seen, away from the main floors, into a wing that smelled of dust and disuse. In here, a small room, clean, private, the kind of room that existed in every hospital for purposes no one talked about. You'll be safe, for now. Jack set Maya on the bed. For now isn't good enough. What happens when they come back? They won't, not tonight. How do you know? Holloway closed the door, locked it. When he turned back, the calm authority was gone, replaced by something raw. Because I know Victor Hale. I know what he is, and I know what he's done. His voice carried a weight that had nothing to do with medicine. My granddaughter disappeared 6 years ago. Emily, she was 11, went into foster care after my son and his wife died in a car accident. 3 months after placement, she was gone, transferred to a facility in Nevada. No forwarding address, no contact information, no explanation. Jack's blood went cold. Sunrise Youth Home. Holloway's face aged 10 years in a single breath. You know it. The social worker mentioned it. Said kids vanish from there. Not vanish. Taken. Sold. Holloway's hands were shaking. The surgeon's hands that had never shaken. I spent 4 years trying to find Emily. 4 years of dead ends and sealed records and people telling me to let it go. Finally, I found a nurse willing to talk. Someone who'd worked at one of Hale's facilities. She told me everything. Where is she now? The nurse dead. Car accident. 3 days after we spoke. Just like Grace Lawson. Just like Grace Lawson. Maya made a small sound from the bed. Jack reached for her hand automatically. Found it, held it. Doc, I need help. I need people I can trust. People who aren't in Hale's pocket. I know someone, a journalist. She's been investigating Hale for years. Has evidence he doesn't know about. Holloway wrote a name and address on a prescription pad. Helen Mercer, Montana Independent. Tell her I sent you. Jack took the paper, folded it, put it in his breast pocket next to Lily's pink ribbon. Why are you helping me? Because I'm 72 years old. I've got maybe 10 good years left, and I will be damned if I spend them watching more children disappear while Victor Hale plays golf and writes checks to politicians. Holloway looked at Maya. She reminds me of Emily. Same eyes, same fear, same hope that someone will finally fight for her. I'll fight, Jack said, but I can't do it alone. No, you can't. Holloway pulled out his phone. I'll make calls, buy you time, but you need to move fast. Hale's reach extends further than you think. The longer you stay in one place, the easier you are to find. And the arrest warrant. Those weren't real deputies. Hale's private security wearing borrowed badges. It won't hold up legally, but that won't stop them from trying again with better costumes. Maya tugged at Jack's sleeve, the small gesture of a child with something important to say. Jack, I need to tell you something. He knelt beside her. What is it? The papers. The ones Mama found in his office. She didn't just take them. She copied them. Put them somewhere safe. Jack's heart stopped. Restarted. Where Maya? Where did she put them? She gave them to someone she trusted. Someone Hale would never think to look at. Who Maya's eyes filled with tears. Me. My school backpack. Mama sewed a secret pocket inside the lining. She said if anything ever happened to her, I should find someone good, someone brave, someone who would know what to do with the truth. Jack stared at her. Maya, where is your backpack? In the car. Mama's car. The car that was currently sitting in a police impound lot, surrounded by law enforcement officers, some of whom worked for Victor Hale. Jack looked at Holloway. The doctor understood immediately. I'll get it. I still have friends in the department. Real ones. Give me until morning. We don't have until morning. You don't have a choice. Holloway put a hand on Jack's shoulder. The kind of grip that said more than words could manage. Stay here. Keep her safe. I'll be back before dawn. The doctor left. The lock clicked behind him. Jack sat down beside Maya's bed. His mind was racing. Variables, threats, contingencies, the operational planning that had kept him alive through a decade of war. Hale's people, the evidence, the impound lot, the journalist, too many moving pieces, too many things that could go wrong. Jack. He looked at her. I'm sorry I didn't tell you before. About the backpack, I was scared. Mama said never tell anyone. Hey, he took her hand. You did good. You trusted me. That took more guts than most adults have. I'm still scared. Me too. Really. Her eyes went wide. But you're so big and tough, and being tough doesn't mean you're not scared. It means being scared and doing the thing anyway. Maya was quiet for a moment. Jack, yeah. If we get through this, if you stop Mr. Hale and I'm safe and everything works out. She paused. What happens to me? Jack's throat tightened. What do you want to happen? She was quiet for a long time, long enough that Jack thought she might have fallen asleep. Then her voice came small and fragile as glass. I want to stay with you. The words hit him like nothing had hit him in 12 years. I know you're not my dad. I know you just met me today, but you're the only person who ever came back. Everyone else leaves, but you stayed. You fought for me. You promised. Her voice broke. I don't want to go to foster care. I don't want strangers who don't care about me. I want to stay with you. Jack's vision blurred. I'm not a good person, Maya. I've done terrible things. So did my daddy. He left before I was born. Never came back. Never even tried. She looked at him. You came back. That makes you better than him. Jack couldn't speak, couldn't breathe. 12 years ago, he'd missed his daughter's funeral because he was on a mission he'd volunteered for. He told himself it was duty. Told himself Lily would understand. Told himself all the lies soldiers tell themselves to keep putting one foot in front of the other. Now a little girl he'd known for less than a day was asking him to be the thing he'd failed at most spectacularly in his life. Let's get through tonight first, he said. Then we'll figure out the rest. Okay, Maya nodded. Then she leaned against him and closed her eyes. Jack, yeah, thank you for not being like everyone else. Within minutes, she was asleep. Jack sat in the darkness, listening to her breathe, watching the door, waiting for whatever came next. In his pocket, Lily's pink ribbon pressed against his chest. And somewhere in the back of his mind, in the place where grief lived and never left, he heard his daughter's voice. Save her, Daddy. She needs you. I will, baby. I will. The phone buzzed. Unknown number. Jack answered. You should have taken my offer, Mr. Harlan. Victor Hale's voice was ice, pure and absolute. Now I'm going to have to teach you what happens to people who defy me. Looking forward to it. Such bravado. Do you know how many people have tried to stop me over the years? Do you know where they all ended up? Hale's voice dropped to something barely above silence. In the ground, Mr. Harlan. Forgotten graves. Unmarked. Unmourned. Their families never knowing what happened. Their children growing up wondering why Daddy never came home. That will be you. And when you're gone, Maya will be mine, just like the others. Jack's grip on the phone could have cracked steel. The others, how many over the years? Dozens, perhaps hundreds. Children no one would miss. Children the system forgot. Children who learned that there are worse things than being orphaned. You're a monster. I'm a businessman, Mr. Harlan. Supply and demand. There's a market for what I provide, and I simply meet that market's needs. A cold laugh. You think you can stop me? You're one man, a broken, washed-up, drunk old biker with a death wish. I have judges. I have politicians. I have police. I have an army, and I have nothing to lose. Silence on the line. That's what makes me dangerous, Hale. I don't care about money. I don't care about power. I don't care about living or dying. The only thing I care about is keeping that little girl safe. And I will burn down everything you've built to do it. We'll see, Mr. Harlan. We'll see. The line went dead. Jack put the phone away, looked at Maya sleeping beside him. So small, so brave, so utterly alone in the world except for a scarred old biker who had forgotten what it meant to matter to someone. He'd made a promise. Now he had to keep it. He settled into the chair, drew the darkness around him like armor, and waited for dawn, for Holloway, for whatever war was coming. Outside the hospital, the Montana night was vast and silent and full of stars that didn't care who lived or died beneath them. But somewhere in that darkness, a man who had spent his entire life hurting the powerless was making plans. And somewhere else in that same darkness, a convoy of motorcycles was already forming it on a highway, heading east, heading toward a fight none of them fully understood yet. The thunder was coming. Jack could feel it in his bones. He reached into his pocket, touched the pink ribbon, closed his eyes. Hold on, baby girl, we're just getting started. The door handle turned at 4:17 in the morning. Jack was on his feet before the latch cleared the frame body between Maya and whatever was coming through. Easy. Holloway's voice low and strained. It's me. Jack unlocked the deadbolt. The doctor slipped inside carrying a small purple backpack smeared with mud and something darker. He looked like he'd aged 5 years since midnight. Got it. The night sergeant owed me from when I saved his wife's gallbladder. He looked the other way for 90 seconds. Maya stirred at the sound of voices, saw the backpack. Her whole body went rigid. That's mine, that's my bag. Jack took it from Holloway, examined it, found the hidden pocket sewn into the lining with small, precise stitches that spoke of a mother's desperate care. Inside a USB drive, a stack of photographs, and a handwritten letter. Maya took the letter, read it slowly, her lips moving. It's from Mama. She wrote it 3 months ago. She says she's sorry. She never wanted to put me in danger. She says Maya's voice fractured. She says if I'm reading this, something bad happened to her. She says I should find someone I trust and give them everything. She says the truth is on the drive. All the names, all the places, all the children who were taken. Jack held the USB drive up between his thumb and forefinger. Small enough to crush between two fingers. Heavy enough to bring down an empire. This is it. This is everything we need. Not quite. Holloway's expression was grim in a way that went beyond fatigue. There's something else. Hale knows you have Maya. He knows you're in this hospital. And he's sending people. Real people this time. Not security guards playing dress up. How many? A dozen. Maybe more. They'll be here within the hour. Jack looked at the evidence in his hand. At Maya clutching her mother's letter. At the old doctor who had put everything on the line for a stranger's child because he remembered his own. Then we need to move. Now, and go where Jack pulled out his phone. Scrolled through contacts he hadn't touched in 6 months. Numbers that belonged to a life he'd walked away from. His thumb stopped on a name. The phone rang twice. Ghost. The voice was rough, suspicious, disbelieving. That really you? Yeah, Briggs, it's me. You've got some nerve calling this number. You know what Flint said about, I don't care what Flint said. I need help. Silence. Heavy, loaded. Then what kind of help? The kind that involves protecting a kid from a monster. The kind that might get us all killed. The kind that matters. A long pause. Jack could hear Briggs breathing. Could hear the gears turning in the head of a man who had spent 40 years riding hard and asking questions later. Tell me everything. Jack told him. Grace Lawson, Maya, Victor Hale, the evidence, the trafficking network, the children who disappeared and no one looked for. When he finished, the silence on the other end lasted so long, Jack thought the connection had dropped. Then Briggs spoke, and his voice was different, lower, harder, the voice of a man who had just discovered a reason. Where are you, St. Vincent's? East Wing, room 47. We've got maybe 30 minutes before Hale's people arrive. Stay put, I'm coming. Briggs, I said I'm coming. And Ghost, the old biker's voice hardened to something that could cut glass. I'm not coming alone. A beat of silence. 6 years ago, my granddaughter went into foster care after my daughter passed. 3 months later, she was gone, transferred to some facility I never heard of. Nobody would tell me where. Nobody would help me find her. Her name was Sarah. She was 9 years old. Jack felt the weight of it settle across his shoulders. Same age as Maya. Same age as your girl. Hale, I couldn't prove it. But yeah, Hale. Then let's burn him down. All the way, ghost, all the way. The line went dead. Jack looked at Holloway. The doctor nodded once, understanding what was coming, understanding what it meant. 23 minutes later, Jack heard it. Not thunder, something better, the deep rolling, chest-shaking rumble of Harley-Davidson engines. Dozens of them. Getting closer, shaking the windows. Maya ran to the window, pressed her face against the glass. Her eyes went wide. Jack, look. He looked. A convoy of motorcycles was pulling into the hospital parking lot. Road Kings and Softails and Electra Glides Chrome catching the first gray light of dawn, all of them flying the same colors. Hell's Angels. Montana chapter. At the front rode a massive man with a silver beard and arms that strained the seams of his leather jacket. Briggs, behind him, 8 more. Men Jack had ridden with, fought beside, bled with. Men he'd believed he'd never see again. Briggs killed his engine, looked up at the hospital, seemed to know exactly which window Jack was watching from. He raised one hand, a salute, a promise. Jack raised his hand back. Maya, time to go. Who are those people? Jack took her hand. They're my brothers, and they're here to save your life. Briggs met them at the service entrance. Up close, he was older than Jack remembered. More silver in the beard, more mileage around the eyes. But the handshake was iron, the gaze was steady, and when he looked at Maya, something in his face that had been locked away for 6 years came loose. He dropped to one knee, put himself at her eye level, spoke in a voice Jack had never heard from him. Gentle, almost tender. Hey there, little one. I hear you've had some rough days. Maya nodded, didn't speak. Her grip on Jack's hand tightened. Well, here's what's going to happen. Me and my brothers are going to get you somewhere safe. Then we're going to deal with the bad man who's after you. Sound okay? Are you like Jack? Maya asked quietly. Are you one of the sad-eyes people? Briggs blinked. Something flickered across his face. Old grief briefly visible. Yeah, sweetheart, I guess I am. He stood, looked at Jack. We got maybe 10 minutes before Hale's crew arrives. Sparrow has a van in the back lot. Wicks is already at the safe house setting up equipment. How many brothers? 8 counting me. Flint doesn't know. If he finds out, let him find out. This is bigger than club politics. They moved fast. Jack carried Maya through service corridors and loading docks, Briggs flanking them, 2 brothers covering the rear. The van was black unmarked, Sparrow behind the wheel, a woman with razor-sharp eyes and a silver streak through dark hair who could perform surgery or put 3 rounds center mass depending on what the situation required. Get in. We're moving. Jack climbed in the back with Maya. The van was moving before the door finished closing. Where are we going? Maya asked. Somewhere safe. That's what Mama said before the truck hit us. The words landed like a blow. Jack pulled her closer. I know, baby. But this time I'm not going to let anything happen to you. You keep making promises. And I keep keeping them, don't I? She thought about it, then nodded. Yeah, you do. The safe house was an old farmhouse, 20 miles outside the city limits. Isolated. Set back from the road at the end of a half-mile dirt track with clear sight lines in every direction. The kind of place where trouble announced itself long before it arrived. Wicks was waiting inside. Thin, nervous. The kind of man who looked like a strong breeze would fold him in half. But put him in front of a keyboard and he could crack systems that governments spent millions to protect. Ghost. Been a while. Too long. Jack set Maya down. What do we have? I've been digging into Hale since Briggs called. Shell companies, offshore accounts, layers of insulation that would take a federal task force months to unravel. But I found a pattern. Every 6 months, a transfer moves from one of his charities to a facility in Nevada. Same amount, same timing. Clockwork. What facility? Sunrise Youth Home. On paper, a therapeutic center for troubled children. And off paper, Wicks's face went dark. Kids go in, they don't come out. Maya tugged Jack's sleeve. That's where they wanted to send me. The social worker said I know. Jack knelt. You're not going there, ever. The USB drive. Briggs stepped forward. What's on it? Jack handed it to Wicks. Grace Lawson spent 3 years gathering evidence. Names, dates, transactions, everything Hale's been hiding. Wicks plugged it in, started scrolling. His face went white, then whiter, then a color Jack didn't have a word for. It's all here. Everything. Bank records, photographs, testimonies from survivors who escaped. And he stopped, swallowed. There's a list, names of children, dates they were acquired, prices they were sold for. The room went silent. Maya's voice was small. Is my name on the list? Wicks looked at her, then at Jack. The answer was in his eyes before he spoke. Yeah, it is, dated 3 days from now. Jack's vision went red, pure burning total. He was going to take her before Grace even ran. It was already planned. The accident was Hale covering his tracks. Grace figured out what was coming and tried to get out first. Then he pays. Jack's hands were shaking. For all of it, we need to be smart. Sparrow stepped forward. Hale has resources we can't match with muscle. If we go in loud, we're dead before we reach his gate. The journalist. Jack pulled out the paper Holloway had given him. Helen Mercer, Montana Independent. She's been investigating Hale for years. If we get her the evidence, she blows this open publicly. And if Hale buys her off, he can't. Sparrow's voice carried the weight of certainty. Her daughter was one of the first victims. Disappeared 15 years ago. Helen's been waiting for this moment her entire adult life. Wicks copies, everything on that drive. 3 backups, different locations. Even if Hale finds us, the evidence survives. Already on it. While Wicks worked, Jack sat with Maya at the kitchen table. Someone had found cereal in a cupboard and milk that was still good. Maya ate slowly, mechanically, the way people ate when their body demanded fuel, but their mind was somewhere else entirely. The safe house was quiet except for the click of Wicks's keyboard and the occasional murmur of brothers checking the perimeter through walkie-talkies. Outside, the first birds were beginning to call, the sky turning from black to deep blue to something that might eventually become morning. Jack, Maya said between bites of cereal. Yeah, what's going to happen to Mama? I mean her body. Who takes care of her? Who makes sure she's buried, right? Jack hadn't thought about that, hadn't had time. But of course Maya would think about it. Of course this child in the middle of running for her life would worry about whether her mother would be treated with dignity. I'll make sure she's taken care of, Jack said. I promise. She likes sunflowers. Maya's voice was quiet, distant. She always said she wanted sunflowers at her funeral. Not roses. She said roses were sad. Sunflowers face the sun. They look up even when everything else is looking down. Jack's throat ached. Sunflowers, he said. I'll remember that. And she liked to sing. In the car, in the kitchen, everywhere. She wasn't very good at it. Maya almost smiled. She'd sing off key and I'd tell her to stop and she'd sing louder on purpose just to make me laugh. She sounds like she was a great mom. She was the best mom. She worked so hard. 3 jobs before she got the one at Mr. Hale's house. She thought it was going to be our way out. Better pay. Nice house. She thought we were finally going to be okay. Maya's spoon stopped moving. Instead, it was the worst thing that ever happened to us. The quiet in the room thickened. Every brother within earshot had gone still, listening. These were hard men, men who had done hard things. But there was something about a child's grief that cut through every layer of armor. Briggs cleared his throat from the doorway. Ghost, we need to talk logistics. Jack squeezed Maya's hand, then stood and followed Briggs to the far corner of the room. The evidence is solid, Briggs said, keeping his voice low. But evidence doesn't mean anything if it never sees the light of day. Hale's killed people for less than what's on that drive. That's why we need the journalist. Helen Mercer. She's been building a case against Hale for 15 years. She just never had the proof. And you trust her? Holloway trusts her. That's enough for me. Briggs rubbed his jaw. What about law enforcement, FBI, state police? Hale has connections everywhere. We go to the wrong cop, Maya's dead before sunrise. We go to the right journalist, the story goes public, and suddenly Hale can't touch us without the whole world watching. Briggs thought about it, nodded slowly. Okay, but you're not going alone. 2 brothers, you and 1 more. The rest stay here and protect Maya. Done. Jack walked back to Maya. She was drawing on a napkin with a pen someone had given her. Drawing a house. A house with a big yard and two figures standing in front of it. One tall, one small. Jack stood. Sparrow, stay here with Maya. Guard this place. Maya grabbed his arm. No, you can't leave me. I have to baby, just for a little while. I need to get this evidence to someone who can put it on every screen in Montana. But you promised. Jack knelt down, took her face in his hands. Look at me, Maya. Look at me. She looked, tears building. I'm coming back. You hear me? I am coming back. But right now, I need you to be brave. Can you do that one more time? I don't want to be brave anymore. I just want you to stay. I know, his voice cracked. But if I don't go, the bad man keeps hurting kids. He keeps taking them. He keeps doing what he did to your mama. Maya wiped her eyes, drew a breath that shook. Will you stop him? Yes, promise, promise. She threw her good arm around his neck, held on like the world was falling. Come back, she whispered. Please come back. Always, always. He pulled away, looked at Sparrow. Guard her with your life, with my life, Ghost. You have my word. Jack rode through the pre-dawn darkness, Briggs beside him, two more brothers flanking. The Montana Independence offices were downtown third floor of a brick building that had survived two fires and a recession. Lights on at 4 in the morning. Helen Mercer worked late or early or never stopped. He went in alone, told the brothers to watch the street. The offices were empty except for one room at the end of the hall, light bleeding through frosted glass. He knocked. It's open. Helen Mercer was not what he expected. Small, gray-haired, reading glasses perched on her nose. She looked like someone who baked pies and volunteered at the library. But her eyes were something else entirely. Hard, relentless. The eyes of a woman who had been trying to scream the truth for 15 years while the world covered its ears. You're Jack Harlan, the biker. Dr. Holloway called. I have evidence. Jack set the USB drive on her desk. Victor Hale is running a child trafficking network. This drive contains bank records, photographs, survivor testimonies, and a list of children with prices next to their names. Helen didn't touch it, just looked at it. How do I know this is real? There's a 9-year-old girl in a farmhouse right now because Hale murdered her mother and tried to take her. There's 15 years of evidence that nobody would look at because Hale owns everyone who matters. Not everyone. No, not everyone. Helen was quiet for a long time. Then she picked up the drive. Your daughter Jack said she was one of the first, 15 years ago. Helen's face went still, the stillness of deep water. I've been screaming into the void for 15 years. Every time I get close, the story gets killed. Editors get bought. Sources disappear. Witnesses recant. This is different because I'm not going to disappear. My brothers aren't going to disappear. That little girl out there already lost her mother. She's not losing anything else. Helen studied him the way a surgeon studies an X-ray, looking for fractures, finding something solid instead. You know what publishing this means? Hale will come after everyone connected to it. He has the resources to destroy lives. Let him try. She stood, extended her hand. I'll need 12 hours to verify and cross-reference. I can have a preliminary story ready by noon. Enough to get federal attention. Enough to put Hale on his heels. And the full investigation will take longer. But once the FBI is involved, Hale's network starts crumbling. People will sell each other out to save themselves. They always do. Jack shook her hand. One more thing. Helen's voice softened. Maya, she's going to need real protection. I have contacts at the FBI. People I trust. Thank you. Jack was halfway to his motorcycle when Briggs met him at the door. Ghost, we've got a problem. Briggs held up his phone. A photograph. Jack's blood turned to something colder than ice. The farmhouse. Burning. Flames pouring from every window, painting the pre-dawn sky orange and red. And in the foreground, Sparrow on her knees, hands tied a gun, pressed to the back of her skull. And no Maya. Jack's phone rang. Unknown number. I have the girl, Mr. Harlan. The voice was female. Cold. Professional. Mr. Hale has taken personal custody. He proposes an exchange. The evidence for the child. Pier 17. 1 hour. Come alone. If he touches her 1 hour, the line died. Jack stood on the sidewalk, the world tilting, his chest caving inward around a failure so total it felt like gravity had doubled. He had promised to protect her, promised to come back. And while he was gone, they had come and taken her. Briggs's hand landed on his shoulder. Ghost, what do we do? Jack's mind was already moving. Past the grief, past the rage, into the cold operational clarity that had kept him alive through a decade of war. He dialed Helen. Change of plans. I need that story published now. Not noon, now. I haven't finished verifying. Put a disclaimer on it. Call it breaking news. Call it unconfirmed reports. I don't care. A woman died for that information. A child lost her mother for it. Put it out there. Let the world see what Victor Hale is. Silence. Then 20 minutes. I can have something online in 20. Make it 15. He hung up. Turned to Briggs. Hale wants the USB because he thinks it's the only copy. He doesn't know Wix made backups. He doesn't know that in 15 minutes, every news outlet in the state is going to have his name, his face, and a list of crimes that will make him the most wanted man in Montana. So we let the story break, and then we hit him while his world is burning, while his network is scrambling, while everyone he ever paid off is too scared to answer his phone calls. And Maya Jack's jaw set like concrete. I'm going to that pier, just like he asked. I'm going to look him in the eye, and I'm going to get her back. He'll kill you, Ghost. Maybe. Jack climbed onto his Harley. But he's not getting that girl. Not while I'm breathing. Get the brothers, surround the pier, stay hidden until you hear my signal. What signal you'll know? He kicked the engine to life, rode toward the pier, toward Hale, toward the fight that everything in his life had been leading to. In his pocket, Lily's ribbon pressed against his heart. And in his mind, Maya's voice, come back, please come back. He was coming back, or he was dying in the attempt. Pier 17 stretched into the black water like something reaching for the dark. No lights, no movement. Just the slap of waves against pilings and the smell of diesel and old wood. Jack killed his engine at the entrance. Walked the rest. His boots loud on the planks, each step deliberate. Hale was waiting at the far end. Expensive suit creased from a night of burning down farmhouses. Perfect hair slightly undone. 2 guards flanking him, tactical gear. Automatic weapons held at low ready. Between them, Maya, hands bound with zip ties, duct tape over her mouth. But her eyes, those huge dark eyes, found Jack immediately. Relief, error, hope, all of it all at once. I'm here, baby, hold on. Mr. Harlan, Hale's voice carried across the water. Smooth as silk over a blade. I'm glad you could make it. The evidence, now. Jack kept walking, hands visible, empty. Let her go first. That's not how this works. Then we have a problem. Hale gestured. One of the guards pressed his weapon against Maya's temple. She squeezed her eyes shut. The evidence, now, or this becomes very unpleasant. Jack reached inside his jacket, pulled out the USB drive, held it up so Hale could see. Greed lit the man's face. Greed and relief. Toss it here. First, let her go. I don't think so. A standoff, water lapping at the pilings, Maya's muffled breathing. Jack's heart slamming against his ribs. His phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, looked at the screen, smiled. Check your phone, Hale. Hale's confidence flickered. He pulled out his own phone, scrolled, watched the color drain from his face like water down a sink. What is this? That's your life ending. Helen Mercer's story was live, already being picked up by wire services, already spreading. Hale's name, his face, the bank records, the list of children, everything. No. Hale's voice shook. This isn't possible. I own the media. You don't own everyone. Jack took a step forward. You don't own me. You don't own my brothers. And you don't own a journalist who's been waiting 15 years for this exact moment. Hale's phone began to ring. Again and again, the sound of a network in collapse, of rats scrambling for lifeboats. His face twisted. Rage replacing shock. Kill them. Kill them both. The guards raised their weapons. And then the night tore open. Motorcycle engines, a wall of sound that shook the pier to its foundations. Headlights blazing out of the darkness from every direction. Briggs, the brothers. 8 of them roaring out of alleys and side streets surrounding the pier, cutting off every exit. The guards hesitated. 1 second. That was all Jack needed. He moved. 20 years of combat training compressed into 3 seconds of controlled violence. The first guard took an elbow to the throat and went down gasping. The second caught a boot to the sternum that sent him backward off the pier and into the black water. Jack grabbed Maya, tore the tape from her mouth. Jack, I got you. I got you. His hands found the zip ties, snapped them. Hale was running, sprinting toward the far end of the pier where a boat sat low in the water engine, running a final escape route for a man who always planned for retreat. Briggs don't let him. But Hale was too far, too fast. He was in the boat. The engine roared, the gap widened. A guard's pistol lay on the planks where it had fallen. Jack picked it up, raised it, sighted down the barrel at Victor Hale's retreating back. One shot, one squeeze of the trigger, and the man who had taken children and destroyed families and murdered a woman for knowing the truth would never do any of it again. His finger found the trigger. Jack, Maya's voice. Quiet, steady, don't. He froze. He killed your mama. He tried to take you. I know. She was looking up at him. Those huge dark eyes. In them he saw something that stopped him cold. Not fear, not even grief. Understanding. If you kill him, they take you away from me. Forever. And I just got you. Jack's hands shook, the barrel wavered. Please, Maya whispered. I don't want another person I love to go away. Jack lowered the gun. The boat's engine faded into the distance, into the darkness, into whatever the night was willing to hold. For a long moment, nobody moved, just the sound of water and engines and the distant beginning of sirens. Then Briggs was there, hand on Jack's shoulder. He got away. Yeah, FBI's been called. Coast Guard is setting up a perimeter. He won't get far. Jack barely heard him. He was looking at Maya, at this child who had just stopped him from becoming something he couldn't come back from. Did you mean it, he asked. Mean what you said, someone you love. Did you mean it? Maya's eyes filled with tears. Yeah, I meant it. Jack dropped to his knees on the weathered planks and pulled her into his arms, held on. Let the rest of it, the pier, the sirens, the brothers, the whole broken, beautiful world fade to background. I love you too, baby girl. Around them, the cavalry was arriving, flashing lights, shouting voices, the machinery of justice finally grinding into gear. But Jack didn't see any of it. He just held on to the one thing that mattered, the one thing he'd finally gotten right. The FBI field office in Helena smelled like burned coffee and urgency. Jack had been sitting in the same plastic chair for 3 hours, watching agents move through the bullpen with the frantic energy of people who had just discovered that a monster had been operating in their backyard for 15 years while they chased paperwork. Maya was in another room, safe, surrounded by child advocates and a trauma specialist who spoke in the careful, measured tones of someone trained to put broken things back together. But every few minutes, the door would crack open and Maya would crane her neck to find Jack through the gap, confirming he was still there, still real, still staying. Special Agent Diana Coulter sat across from him, mid-40s, dark suit that fit like it had been tailored for the specific purpose of making people take her seriously, sharp eyes that missed nothing. Let me make sure I have this straight. She flipped through 3 hours of notes. You found the girl at the accident scene, stayed with her, discovered her mother was fleeing Victor Hale, obtained physical evidence, contacted your motorcycle club for tactical support, confronted Hale at the pier. He escaped by boat. That's the short version. The long version includes assault on hospital security, evading a fraudulent arrest, destruction of property, and approximately 12 other charges I could file right now. Jack shrugged. File them. Coulter's eyebrow rose. You don't care. I care about one thing. That little girl in the next room. Everything else is noise. Coulter studied him the way a jeweler studied a stone, looking for flaws, finding them, looking deeper anyway. You know what I see when I look at you, Mr. Harlan? I see a criminal record longer than my arm. Assault, battery, weapons charges, known associate of an outlaw motorcycle organization. Every metric I have says you're exactly the kind of person I should lock up. She leaned back. But I also see a man who risked his life to protect a child he'd never met. who took on one of the most powerful men in the state with nothing but a USB drive and a group of bikers. She closed her notebook. Victor Hale's yacht was spotted heading south toward international waters. Coast Guard has 3 cutters in pursuit. His domestic network is collapsing. Half his associates are already trying to cut deals. And the children Coulter's composure cracked. Just a fraction. We've recovered 11 so far. 3 different facilities. Most of them are, she stopped, breathed. Most of them are in rough shape, but they're alive because of what you did. 11. Jack thought about the list on that USB drive. Dozens of names, maybe hundreds over the years. 11 wasn't enough. But 11 children were breathing tonight who might not have been. What happens to Maya? That's complicated. She's technically a ward of the state. No living relatives we've been able to locate. The standard process number. Jack's voice was flat. Final. She is not going into the system. Hale had people inside that system. That's how he reached these kids in the first place. Mr. Harlan, I'll take her. Coulter blinked. Foster care. Adoption. Whatever paperwork exists, I'll do it. You're not exactly the ideal candidate. I know exactly what I am. I know exactly what I've done. But that girl in there has been through hell, and for a reason I can't fully explain, she trusts me. So you can put her in a group home where she'll be another folder on someone's desk. Or you can give her a chance with someone who will die before he lets anything happen to her. Coulter was quiet for a long time. Before she could respond, the door flew open. A young agent, breathless. Ma'am, problem. Hale's yacht stopped running an hour ago. Coast Guard boarded it, empty. Just crew. He transferred to another vessel somewhere in transit. He's coming back, Jack said. We don't know. He's coming back. He's lost at everything. Money, network, reputation. The only thing he has left is revenge. Jack was already moving toward the hallway. Where's Maya, room 114? But you can't just. Jack was already gone. He found her on a couch flanked by 2 female agents. Her face lit with a relief so total it rearranged every feature. Jack. She ran to him, arms around his waist, holding on. They said you might have to go away. They said nobody's taking me anywhere. He looked at the agents. We need to move. Now, Mr. Harlan. She's under federal protection. Victor Hale slipped your perimeter. He's in the wind. And this office with its glass doors and keycard locks is not where I want her when he comes back. The agents exchanged uncertain looks. Coulter appeared in the doorway behind them. He's right. She held up her phone. Hale was spotted at a private airfield 40 miles from here. He chartered a helicopter heading this direction. Then lock down the building, one of the agents said. No, Jack picked Maya up. We move. We keep moving. That's how you survive. What do you need? Coulter asked. A vehicle. A head start. Coulter hesitated, looked at Maya, at the way she clung to Jack, at the absolute certainty in those dark eyes that this man was the only safe thing in her world. Garage. Bay 3. Gray SUV, keys in the visor. She handed him a card. My personal cell. Call me when you're somewhere safe. Briggs was in the lobby. Had refused to leave despite repeated FBI requests. What's happening? Hale's coming. We're moving. Where Jack thought. Hale had resources. Could track credit cards, cell phones, license plates. Running blind was suicide. Then he remembered. A place from decades ago. A place that existed in no database. My father's cabin, up near Glacier. Off the grid, no records, no neighbors. Your father's been dead 20 years, which means nobody's thought about that cabin in 20 years, including Hale. They hit the road as the sun painted the mountains gold. Jack drove. Briggs followed on his motorcycle, watching their back trail. Maya sat in the passenger seat, quiet for the first hour. Processing. Carrying the weight of too many days that should never have happened to anyone, let alone a child. Then she spoke. Jack, yeah, when this is over, what happens to me? What do you mean? Where do I go? Who takes care of me? One of the agents at the office said I might go to a group home. She said there weren't any families who wanted. Maya's voice broke. Who wanted someone like me? Jack's knuckles went white on the steering wheel. Someone like you. Damaged. That's what one of them said. When she thought I wasn't listening, she said I was too damaged for a normal placement. Rage flooded his chest. At that agent. At every adult who had ever looked at a child and seen a problem instead of a person. Listen to me, Maya. You are not damaged. You hear me? You've been through things no kid should go through, but that doesn't make you broken. That makes you strong. The strongest people I've ever met are the ones who went through hell and came out the other side still caring, still hoping, still wanting to love. He met her eyes in the mirror. That's you, baby girl. She said I might never find a family. She was wrong. How do you know? Because I talked to the FBI. I told them I want to be your family. Foster care first, then adoption. If you want it, if you want me. Silence. Long enough for Jack's heart to climb into his throat and settle there. You really want me? Yeah, baby, I really want you. Forever, not just for now. She unbuckled her seatbelt, climbed into the passenger seat and pressed herself against his side, her head on his shoulder, her body finally for the first time in days unclenching. I want you too, she whispered. I want you to be my daddy. Jack blinked, kept driving, did not trust his voice for several miles. Then that's what I'll be. The cabin materialized at dawn, a small structure tucked into the pines at the end of a dirt track that barely qualified as a road. 20 years of weather had grayed the wood and buckled the porch, but the bones were solid, defensible, with clear sight lines to every approach. Jack got Maya settled on the old couch with blankets from a cedar trunk. She was asleep within minutes. Exhaustion finally winning the war against fear. He stepped outside with Briggs. What's the plan? We wait. Let the FBI work. Hale can't hide forever. And if he finds us first, Jack looked at the cabin, at Maya sleeping peacefully behind those walls. Then I end it. Around noon, Coulter called on. We found Hale's helicopter abandoned in a field 60 miles from your position. He's on foot or had another vehicle staged. We're searching, but the terrain is brutal. How long could be days? There's something else you should know. Hale has a fixer, someone who handles his problems. Extremely effective. We've identified at least 12 incidents over 15 years where witnesses or threats were neutralized. Codenamed the Shepherd. Jack's gut tightened. And the Shepherd is already in Montana. We tracked a payment from 3 days ago, right before Grace Lawson's accident. The accident that wasn't an accident? Exactly. And the Shepherd doesn't just eliminate targets. They track them. Across state lines, across borders. 15 years without a single failure. Jack looked at the trees. The endless wilderness where anyone could be watching. There's a first time for everything. He hung up, went inside. Maya was awake, sitting up, reading his face the way she always did. Something's wrong, someone might be coming. But I'm here. Nothing is getting through that door. The Shepherd. Jack went still. Mama talked about it. Late at night when she thought I was sleeping. She said the Shepherd was the one who found people who ran. She said Maya's voice dropped. She said the Shepherd found us once before, made Mama come back. That's why she was so scared this time. Did she ever say who the Shepherd was? She said you never see them coming. They look like everyone else. A twig snapped outside. Jack grabbed Maya. Behind the couch. Down. Don't move. Then a voice, familiar. Female. Mr. Harlan, it's Nora Caldwell, the social worker from the hospital. The FBI sent me. They thought Maya might need a familiar face. Jack's mind raced. Nora Caldwell. The woman who had warned him about Sunrise Youth Home. The woman who had deleted her call logs. The woman who had no plausible way of knowing where they were. How did you find us, Nora? No answer. I said, how did you find us? The door exploded inward. 4 men, tactical gear, automatic weapons, not pretending to be police this time. Jack fired twice from behind the overturned couch. 1 man dropped. Briggs came through the back room, weapon, up, got another. But there were more, coming from the windows, the walls, everywhere. Maya run, back door, go. She bolted. One of the attackers moved to intercept. Briggs tackled him mid-stride. They crashed through furniture fighting. Jack dropped 2 more. Took a round in the shoulder that spun him sideways, painted the wall red. Kept firing. Kept drawing their attention. Every bullet aimed at him was a bullet not aimed at Maya. Get her out, Briggs. Get her out now. Briggs grabbed Maya, crashed through a window, disappeared into the tree line. Jack kept fighting until a gun barrel pressed against the base of his skull. Enough. Nora Caldwell's voice, but different now. The helpful social worker stripped away like a costume after the show closes. What remained was cold, professional, empty. Drop the weapon. Jack dropped it. Turn around. He turned, blood running down his arm, shoulder screaming. Nora looked different standing over him with a gun. Harder, older, the mask of concerned bureaucrat completely gone. "You're the shepherd," Jack said. "I prefer Nora, less theatrical. 15 years, 15 flawless years. And then you came along, some broken-down biker with a hero complex." She circled him slowly, predator assessing wounded prey. "Where's Hale on his way? He wants to handle you personally. Something about making an example. The FBI knows about you now. The FBI knows a code name. They have no idea who I am. After tonight, Nora Caldwell will cease to exist. New identity, new hunting ground. Same work." She pressed the gun harder against his head. "But first, where's the girl gone? You'll never find her." "I always find them, Mr. Harlan." "That's what I do. Not this time." She pulled a radio from her vest. "Sweep the perimeter. The girl is with one of the bikers. Find them." Jack needed time. Needed to keep her talking. Why Nora studied him. Something flickered behind her eyes. "I was like Maya once, foster care, group homes, passed around like furniture nobody wanted. I learned very young that the world has two kinds of people." She leaned closer. "I chose not to be the kind that gets used. You chose to help him use children. I chose to survive. Everything after that was business." A sound outside. Gunfire, shouting, engines. Nora spun toward the window. Jack moved, grabbed her gun arm, twisted. The weapon discharged into the ceiling. They went down hard, fighting. She was fast, trained. But Jack had 20 years of combat and 58 years of refusing to die when it would have been easier. He got control of the weapon, kicked it away, pinned her. "Behind you," a voice said. Victor Hale stood in the doorway, flanked by two guards, his suit ruined, his face a mask of rage so complete it had consumed everything else, the charm, the sophistication, all the expensive veneer stripped away to reveal what had always been underneath. "Let her go." Jack released Nora. She scrambled away, gasping. Hale walked forward, his gun aimed at Jack's chest. "You've cost me everything. My network, my money, my reputation. 30 years of building gone because of a biker and a little girl. Good." Hale struck him across the face with the pistol. Stars erupted. Blood filled Jack's mouth. "I'm going to make this last. And when you're begging for death, I'm going to bring that girl here. Let her watch." Jack spat blood, laughed. "What's funny, you? Standing there thinking you've won. You still don't understand. Understand what I was never trying to beat you. I was never trying to survive. I was buying time." Hale's face flickered. Time for what? For them. The thunder came, not from the sky, from the road, from every road. The sound of dozens of motorcycle engines converging on the cabin from every direction, headlights cutting through the trees like searchlights. Hale ran to the window. Hell's Angels, 50 of them. More than Jack had ever seen gathered in one place. And at the front, riding alone, was Flint, president of the Montana chapter, the man who had exiled Jack 6 months ago, the man who had just brought every brother he had to finish this. "Your network is gone," Jack said, standing, blood running freely, shoulder destroyed, still standing. "Your money is frozen. Your associates are selling you out to the FBI as we speak. And outside that door are 50 very angry men who have spent years wondering what happened to their grandchildren." Hale backed toward the rear of the cabin. Nora was already gone, slipped away in the chaos into the darkness, the way shadows disappeared when you turned on the light. Flint walked through the front door. Massive, gray-bearded, his face carved from decades of hard living and harder choices. "Ghost, Flint." Briggs called, "Told me what was happening, about the children." Flint's eyes moved to Hale, something in them that made even Jack's blood go cold. "He belongs to all of us. Every brother who lost a grandchild, every family that never got answers." Hale looked around, trapped, surrounded. "You can't do this. I have rights." "You have nothing," Flint said, "except what we decide to give you. The only thing you're giving him," Jack said, "is to the FBI. Let the system work. For once, let the system work. Flint studied him, then nodded. Two brothers grabbed Hale, dragged him toward the door. This isn't over, Harlan. You hear me? This isn't. His voice faded into the night. Briggs appeared in the doorway, Maya in his arms. She saw Jack. Reach for him. Jack took her, held her against his chest with his one good arm, while the other hung useless and bleeding. Is it over? Yeah, baby. The bad man is gone. She buried her face in his shoulder. Can we go home now? Jack looked at this child, this fierce, brave, impossible child who had given him something he had stopped believing existed. Yeah, let's go home. 6 months later, Jack stood in a courtroom wearing a suit that Briggs had helped him pick out and a tie that Maya had learned to knot from a YouTube tutorial. The tattoos crawling up his neck didn't exactly project responsible parenthood, but the suit was as good as it was going to get. Judge Carmen Martinez entered, silver-haired, mid-60s, 30 years on the bench. The courtroom was full. Briggs and the brothers cleaned up, leather vests stored away, Dr. Holloway in the front row, Helen Mercer beside him, Agent Coulter near the back, even Flint standing alone by the door. Mr. Harlan, the judge peered at him over her glasses. You have quite a history. Yes, ma'am, and you want this court to believe you are fit to raise a child. Jack took a breath. No, ma'am, I don't want you to believe anything. I want you to see. See what the last 6 months have been. See what Maya and I have built together. See the man I'm trying to become. Not just the man I was. And who are you trying to become? A father. I had a daughter once, Lily. She died while I was overseas. I wasn't there. Spent 12 years running from that. Drinking, fighting, riding. He looked at Maya. Then I found a little girl on the side of a road. Broken, terrified, alone, and something in me that I thought was dead woke up. What was that hope? Hope that maybe I could get it right this time. That all those years of pain and failure happened so I'd be ready for this moment. For her. Maya's hand found his. Held on. Judge Martinez was quiet. Then she turned to Maya. I'd like to hear from you. Maya stood. Her hands trembled, but her voice was clear. When I was little, I used to pray for a daddy. Every night. I imagined someone tall and strong. Someone who would protect me. Someone who would never leave. She looked at Jack. I never imagined someone who looked like him. Tattoos and scars and a face that scares people. But then I was lying on the road bleeding and scared, and he came, and he knelt down, and he covered me with his jacket, and he held my hand, and he didn't leave. Not when the ambulance came. Not when my mama died. Not when the bad man came. Not ever. Tears streaming now. But she was smiling. Everyone else in my life left. My daddy before I was born. My mama because someone killed her. But Jack stayed. Jack fought for me. Jack almost died for me. She turned to the judge. I don't want a perfect daddy. I just want one who stays. And that's him. That's always been him. Silence. Absolute. The kind of silence that happens when something true has been said and everyone in the room knows it. Judge Martinez removed her glasses, wiped her eyes. In 30 years on this bench, I have never had a child articulate so clearly why a family belongs together. She picked up the gavel. It is the ruling of this court that the petition for adoption is hereby granted. From this day forward, Maya Lawson shall be legally known as Maya Grace Harlan, daughter of Jack Harlan, with all the rights and protections thereof. The gavel came down. Maya screamed with joy, threw herself into Jack's arms. The courtroom erupted. Briggs was crying. Holloway was crying. Even Flint was clapping steady and slow from the back of the room. Daddy, Maya whispered into his ear. My daddy. Jack held her. Let the tears come. Let the walls he'd spent decades building crumble into dust. My daughter. My brave, beautiful daughter. Victor Hale's trial lasted 15 days. 47 federal charges. Child trafficking, murder, conspiracy. The evidence was overwhelming. Grace Lawson's USB drive, bank records, survivor testimony. Helen Mercer's investigation, which would later win the most prestigious journalism award in the country. Jack testified on the third day. He sat in the witness box in the same suit from the adoption hearing, the same tie Maya had nodded and told the jury everything. The skid marks on Highway 12, the girl in the grass, the phone calls from Hale dripping with confidence and contempt, the chase through the hospital, the night at the pier when a 9-year-old girl stopped him from pulling the trigger. The defense attorney tried to break him, attacked his record, his past, his club affiliation, called him a criminal playing hero, asked him why the jury should believe anything from a man with his history. Jack looked at the lawyer, looked past him at Maya sitting in the gallery between Briggs and Holloway. Because I was there, Jack said. I was there when she was bleeding on the road. I was there when she screamed for her mother. I was there when your client's men put guns to her head. And I'll be there tomorrow. And the day after that. And every day for the rest of her life. That's why you should believe me. Because I've got nothing to gain from lying and everything to lose from walking away. The courtroom was silent. Maya's video deposition was played on the 7th day, her voice steady, her eyes clear. He killed my mama. He was going to take me and sell me like he sold all those other kids. But Jack stopped him. Jack saved me. The prosecutor asked, "Were you scared?" "Every minute," Maya said on the screen. But Jack told me being brave means being scared and doing the thing anyway. So that's what I did. That's what we both did. The jury took 4 hours, guilty on all counts, 7 consecutive life sentences without parole. When the verdict was read, Jack was holding Maya's hand. She looked up at him. "Is it really over?" "It's really over. He can never hurt anyone again." Nora Caldwell was never found. The shepherd vanished the night of the cabin attack. Coulter tracked a transaction to a city in South America. Then nothing. Some nights Jack woke in a cold sweat, certain he heard footsteps outside. But then Maya would call from her room, "Daddy, you okay?" And the fear would dissolve into something manageable. He installed better locks, put motion sensors around the property, kept a weapon in the bedside drawer that Maya didn't know about. These were precautions, not paranoia. The difference mattered. He had something worth protecting now, and protecting it meant being ready for threats that might never come while living a life worth defending. The Hells Angels changed. Flint stepped down. Briggs took over as president. First order of business, a foundation named after Grace Lawson, funding investigations into trafficking networks, partnering with Helen Mercer, raising money for child advocacy, against all probability, a force for good. Who would have thought, Sparrow said at one of their early fundraising events. A bunch of bikers raising money for kids instead of raising hell. People can change, Jack said. That's the whole point. Did you change or were you always this, just hiding it? Jack thought about it. I think the man I was supposed to be got buried under a lot of pain and bad choices. Maya helped me dig him out. Jack got a job at a motorcycle repair shop in town. Honest work. Nothing glamorous. Enough to cover the rent on a small house on the outskirts of town with a yard big enough for Maya to practice cartwheels and a porch where Jack could sit in the evenings and watch the Montana sky do what it did best. Maya enrolled in 4th grade, Mrs. Peterson's class. The first week was hard. She came home crying twice. Kids asking about her parents, about why she lived with that scary biker man. Jack wanted to march into the school and explain things to everyone. Briggs offered to bring the whole club for a different kind of parent-teacher conference. But Maya stopped them both. "I can handle it," she said. "I've handled worse." She was right. By the second week, she'd made 2 friends. Sophie, a girl who loved horse, and Marcus, a boy with glasses who could nearly match her at math. By the 3rd week, she was invited to a birthday party. By the 4th, she came home with a permission slip for a field trip to the Natural History Museum. "Can I go, Daddy?" Please, Jack signed the slip without hesitation. "Have fun, baby." Life found a rhythm, a cadence Jack hadn't known in decades, maybe ever. Morning meant pancakes. He burned them less often now, and packing Maya's lunch and driving her to school in the truck he'd bought to replace the Harley as a daily driver. The Harley was still there, still waiting, but it had been joined by something more practical, more fatherly, and Jack found he didn't mind. He learned things no combat training had prepared him for. How to braid hair from a YouTube video he watched 11 times before getting it passably right. How to help with 4th grade math that somehow seemed harder than anything he'd encountered in the Army. How to sit through a 2-hour school concert without fidgeting. How to say no to ice cream before dinner and mean it, and then say yes to ice cream after dinner because the look on her face was worth any amount of sugar. He learned that bedtime was a negotiation, not a command. That nightmare still came, but less often now, and when they did, he'd sit beside her bed and hold her hand until her breathing steadied. She talked in her sleep, sometimes fragments of sentences that made no sense, but occasionally included his name, and hearing it in her sleeping voice was the closest thing to prayer he'd experienced since losing Lily. Afternoons meant homework at the kitchen table while Jack pretended to read a magazine and actually watched Maya draw. She drew constantly, houses with big yards, families with smiling faces. And sometimes when she thought he wasn't looking, she drew a tall man with tattoos and sad eyes standing next to a small girl with dark hair, and the man was smiling and the girl was safe, and the house behind them had a garden and a dog they hadn't gotten yet, but were talking about getting. The drawings went on the refrigerator, every single one. Jack had never been a man who decorated anything but that refrigerator, became covered in Maya's art held up by magnets she'd chosen at the dollar store, and he wouldn't have moved a single piece for any reason on earth. One Saturday, Maya asked him about the war. Not the war with Hale, the real war, the one that had taken him away from Lily. Jack was quiet for a long time watching the river move over stones. I went because I thought it was the right thing to do, he said finally. Thought I was protecting people, protecting my country, protecting my family, even though I was 6,000 miles away from them. Did it feel right when you were there sometimes? Mostly it felt necessary, like something that had to be done even if it cost you everything. Would you go again if you could do it over? Jack looked at her, at the sunlight catching her dark hair, at Lily's ribbon on her wrist. No, he said. I'd stay. I'd be there for Lily every single day. I'd be a father first and everything else second. Maya nodded, satisfied with the answer. Then she handed him a sandwich and told him his hair was getting too long and he looked like a homeless person, and Jack laughed harder than he had in years. On weekends, they'd ride together. Maya on the back of the Harley helmet, too big for her head arms wrapped tight around his waist. They'd find a quiet spot by the river and eat sandwiches and talk about everything and nothing and the spaces between. Dr. Holloway came to visit once a month. He'd resigned from the hospital, said he was too old for the stress and too angry at the system that had let Hale operate under everyone's noses. Now he volunteered with trauma survivors. Kids mostly. Kids who'd been through what Maya had been through, what Emily had been through. You saved my granddaughter, Holloway told Jack one evening. They were sitting on the porch while Maya practiced cartwheels in the fading light. Not literally, I know Emily is still out there somewhere. But you gave me hope. Hope that someone will find her the way you found Maya. We'll find her, Jack said. Wicks is still searching, so is Helen. In the meantime, Holloway watched Maya land a perfect cartwheel and throw her arms up in triumph. I'm grateful for what you've built here, for who you've become. I'm not anything special. That's where you're wrong. Holloway looked at him. You're exactly what that little girl needed. And maybe she's exactly what you needed too. Jack couldn't argue with that. One evening, 2 years after the adoption, Maya asked the question Jack had been dreading and hoping for in equal measure. Daddy, can I learn about Lily? They were at the kitchen table, Maya doing homework, Jack pretending to read. What do you want to know? Everything, what she looked like, what she loved, what made her laugh. Maya looked up from her notebook. You never talk about her, and that's okay if it hurts too much. But I want to know my sister, even if she's not here anymore. My sister. Jack's throat closed. Wait here. He went to his bedroom, pulled a box from the back of the closet. The box he'd carried from base to base, apartment to apartment, never opening it, never throwing it away. He set it on the kitchen table. Inside, photographs, report cards, drawings in crayon, and a faded pink ribbon. That's the ribbon you always carry, Maya said. Lily's favorite color was pink. She wore this ribbon every day. After she died, it was all I had left. Jack picked it up, ran his fingers over the fabric that had traveled with him through 12 years of darkness. I carried it like a penance. Like if I held on tight enough, I could keep some part of her alive. He looked at Maya. Now I think it's time to pass it on. Lily would have loved you. She would have loved having a little sister who was brave and smart and kind. Maya took the ribbon, tied it around her wrist with careful, deliberate movements. Now she's always with me, too. 3 months later, Helen Mercer called. We found her, Helen said. Her voice was different, excited in a way Jack had never heard. Emily, Dr. Holloway's granddaughter, she's alive. A group home in Nevada living under a different name. Wicks cracked the records last night. DNA confirmation came through this morning. Jack's heart stopped. Are you sure positive? She's alive. She's safe. And she's coming home. The reunion happened 2 weeks later. Emily, 19 now, a young woman with haunted eyes and a trembling smile that grew steadier with every passing minute she spent next to the grandfather who had never stopped looking for her. Jack wasn't there for the private moment. That belonged to Holloway and Emily alone. But he was there for the dinner afterward. Emily sitting beside her grandfather, still not fully believing that the years of darkness were over. Thank you, she said to Jack across the table. Dr. Holloway told me what you did, how you fought for Maya, how you brought down Hale's network. I didn't do it alone, but you started it. You stopped when everyone else kept driving. Emily looked at Maya sitting beside Jack with Lily's ribbon on her wrist. You saved her. And because you saved her, you saved me. And who knows how many others. Maya grabbed Jack's hand. That's my daddy, she said. He saves people. I'm not. Yes, you are. Stop arguing. Accept it. Jack looked around the table. At Holloway weeping with joy. At Emily free at last. At Maya fierce and proud and everything he had never deserved and somehow received anyway. Okay, he said quietly. Maybe I am. The following spring, Jack married June Holloway, Emily's mother. They'd met at the reunion dinner. She had lost her husband years ago in the same accident that had sent Emily into the system. She had spent years searching, grieving, refusing to surrender. They'd found each other in the wreckage of parallel losses and built something neither had expected to build again. The wedding was small, the courthouse. Judge Martinez presiding because some things came full circle whether you planned them or not. Maya was the maid of honor. She wore a blue dress and Lily's pink ribbon and a smile so wide it seemed to reorganize the geometry of her face. Briggs was best man. He cried more than anyone. Denied it afterward. Nobody believed him. 5 years after finding Maya on Highway 12, Jack stood on the porch of a house that was bigger than any place he'd ever lived. Room for June, room for Emily when she visited, room for the people who drifted in and stayed, Briggs on Sundays for football, Holloway on Wednesdays for dinner, Helen Mercer when she needed somewhere quiet to finish the book she was writing about the case. Maya was 14 now, tall, strong, more beautiful than she had any right to be. The pink ribbon still on her wrist, always on her wrist. She found him on the porch watching the Montana sky turn colors that didn't have names. Tell me the story again, she said. Which one? The one about the highway. They'd told it 100 times. It never wore thin. Some stories only got richer with repetition, the way certain woods darkened and deepened with age. I was riding my motorcycle, Jack said, trying to outrun my ghosts, and then I saw the skid marks, heard a voice calling for help, found a little girl lying in the grass bleeding and terrified. And she looked at me with those big brown eyes and said, please don't hurt me, Maya finished. I can't move, and I promised I wouldn't. And I stayed, and you fought, and you found something you didn't know you were looking for. What was that a reason to live? A daughter who taught me that even the most broken people can be put back together if someone loves them enough. Maya leaned against his shoulder, the way she'd leaned against him in that hospital bed 5 years ago when she was small and shattered and the whole world was trying to take her away. You taught me that too, Daddy. They stood there together, father and daughter, two people who had been broken in different ways by a world that didn't always care about the damage it caused, who had found each other on a stretch of highway in the middle of Montana and decided against all evidence and reason that they belonged together. Somewhere Jack liked to think Lily was watching, smiling, proud of the man he had finally allowed himself to become, proud that the pink ribbon she used to wear in her hair now lived on her sister's wrist, connecting them across the distance that separated the living from the loved. And somewhere deeper in the place where grief lived but no longer ruled, Jack forgave himself. For the years of absence, for the funeral he'd missed, for all the ways he'd failed the first time around. He couldn't change the past. No amount of courage or sacrifice or love could undo what was done. But he could shape what came next. One promise kept at a time. One daughter loved at a time. One broken thing made whole at a time. This was his redemption, not the dramatic kind, not the kind that happened in a single moment on a burning pier with guns drawn and engines roaring. The quieter kind, The kind that happened in kitchens and schoolyards and on porches at sunset. The kind that was built from pancakes and permission slips and bedtime stories and the simple radical act of showing up every single day for someone who needed you. This was his second chance, and it was more than enough. Because sometimes the most powerful thing a person can do is stop running and kneel beside someone who's hurting and say the words that change everything. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm here to help, and I'm not going anywhere. Jack Harlan had spent 58 years learning how to survive. It took a 9-year-old girl on the side of a highway to teach him how to live.